Well, good evening, folks. Welcome to live Minifandom. Look,
Ooh.
you've got an extra big Mena's head tonight on the show. Do you like it, Tom? I had this in the trailer.
So is that to sabotage like live shots somewhere, or what is that? What is the meaning of that?
Just to go around town with it and, show it to people. It's branding.
Yeah, it is branding. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
That is kind of a thing, but I don't know. Do you know Matt Walsh, the American conservative guy who did What Is a Woman, the movie?
Yep.
So people like guerrilla marketing people for him have been showing up behind ESPN sets, etc., with his big face, and to do this. So it's like it's a thing now.
Yeah, I'm just going to walk around town with my big head now.
You know, it's funny. People, the stuff works. Campaigns work. These promotion campaigns work. 20 years ago, I had friends who lived in Chicago, and I took some web design and development classes, so I knew like HTML and some JavaScript and Macromedia Flash, all the stuff that mattered 20 years ago. And I made a website for my arrival in Chicago that had made it have a whole week's full of events. And when I got there, there was a big crowd. There was like 12 to 15 people who were thrilled because Tom Shattuck was coming over. I worked at a hotel at the time. I was like a bellman, but people buy into stuff like that. And
Absolutely.
There was a young lady there who already liked me, already had a crush on me. So my work was done. I couldn't she was already in to me because of all this branding stuff and this. I had all these rules I put for bar hopping.
Was that Alice?
It was not Alice. This is pre-Alice. If I had any balls to in drive, I see how the success could be made like that. Just by busting your ass and creating a spectacle. People love it.
Absolutely. Yep. My big head. Welcome to Minifandom, everybody. It's great to be back live on the Mena's Minifan Network tonight. Joining me is the great Tom Shattuck from the Burn Barrel podcast, Steve from Gloucester's favorite show. Tom, welcome back to Minifandom. How are you?
Thank you. I am fat, actually. And look at this. And my camera is way up there, too. It is made to thin me, and I am not thin. I'm thinner than I've been, but I am fat. I'm good. Hey, I got to tell you, man, that Aussie show, the post-Sacco Aussie show, was awesome.
Thank you very much.
All three of you work well together. The other dudes, Jackson and Jamie, right? Jamie I've talked to, but Jackson, right?
Yeah, Jamie's a big Burn Barrel guy.
No, I know. He's great. Yeah, we had him on. Then when you're authoritarian president or prime minister or whatever it was had you guys all locked up inside.
Oh, but that other guy,
Jackson, has he been a full-time Australian? Because his accent seems to come and go a little bit. He sounded like an American a couple times.
No, he's a full-time Aussie, but he's an American file. And he was a rough diamond. He was on the Aussie Minifan show 3 or 4 years ago, but he's really come out of his shell. So you'll be getting more Aussie Minifan shows. The good thing is we can record on our time zone.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and do it regularly. And so we've got Tom Shattuck on this episode of Minifandom. Also, I'm about to bring in a man who I had to go through a rigorous permission slip process to allow Danny and Bill Ricker on the show. I had to lodge a permission slip with his wife, but he's made it. Danny and Bill Ricker, former host of Quantum Kirk. And his mic is on mute.
Bill Ricker, Massachusetts, former home. Former home of Kirk Minahan before he brought his trashy Irishness over to Winchester and leapfrogged over me in status.
Hello, Danny. How are you?
Hello, Andrew. Manners and Tom. Good to see you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate. Yeah, this is a auspicious start. I just got my 20 lashes that were prerequisite for joining you on the show. So I apologize. I'm a little bit stunned. But I'll try to recover and hopefully make this a great show, which Minifandom always is.
Well, I asked you on. You're replacing Montante. So I originally asked Montante to join me with Tom because Montante is a huge Shattuck guy, but Montante has a football game on tonight. And as we all know, he's a degenerate gambler, and he made it clear that he needed to watch his bets the whole time. And then I thought, Danny, he's now unemployed, so he's got a lot of time on his hands. Another huge Shattuck guy.
Mm-hmm. And vice versa, obviously. Hey, can I just tell you something?
Big time.
That I did? by mistake.
Go for it.
I had to go to this political meeting in our town, some friends of ours, etc. And so, but I've been dragging today. It's been a long day. So I had a big solo cup full of coffee, and I sucked down half of it. I just got back home, and I popped open a beer. It's the Sam Adams Holiday White Ale, and I mistakenly poured the beer into the coffee, and it's delicious, dude. It's delicious. I think there are bugs in the coffee, but no, it's delicious.
What a convenient mistake.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. Good stuff. So anyway,
I mean, it is wonderful having three media titans on the screen at once. I don't know if StreamYard can handle all this clout.
I don't know if it can, Danny. You're right. And are you nervous being with Tom on air?
I am. Tom's one of my heroes. He knows that.
Have we not been together? I think we've been on the air together before.
We've been on the veterans stream, and
right?
of course, and of course, I've called into WTIC multiple times. And shout out to your new boss, George Soros. I hope he's doing well tonight. Hello,
that's
George.
Mr. Soros, a great global citizen, and yes, a fine boss indeed.
So is your basically your introductory interview with him the same as your exit interview, same session, or do they space them out?
It is the same session. That's it. I get it. I'll have an escort out at least. There's that. So
Soros, a Republican like you, Tom?
Soros, no. Soros. Oh no. You say Danny or Soros?
Soros.
Soros is a huge progressive globalist, liberal.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
that's why you're in trouble.
Well, I ostensibly that's the fear, and it's funny because people hear opinions I have and assume he's gotten to me. In case they're not, my opinions aren't like lining up being totally Trumpy or being totally conservative. But he's got a lot of things to do. The old man's out of it anyway. It's his son now, Alex Soros, who's really the guy.
Tim Walton's best friend.
Yeah. Oh, that was ugly. The vice presidential candidate for the Democrats, Tim Walz, prostrated himself in front of Alex Soros in his skyscraper. I know you don't want to get into politics too much, but it makes for.
I tuned out.
But Manners, have you listened? Do you listen to Tom's show at all? Do you stream it over there?
No, never. You can get I subscribe to the podcast, and I've been on the show. I was driving around with Tim and Canton, and we called in.
Oh, that's my radio show. Yeah.
Are you doing that Burn Barrel?
Tim gives Tom at least 45 minutes of free content every day, which is wonderful. It's actually the best part of the show. Right. But Tom's relationship with his callers is actually probably a case study in how AM Talk radio host should interact with his people. I think he actually handles it with aplomb. So it's worth looking into if you're a radiophile like myself, and as I know you are, Manners, at least historically.
I'll send you some links, Manners.
I've really lost control of this episode. Can I delete the first 8 minutes?
No.
I'm not sure.
You got the coffee.
We're live.
Beer.
That's the annoying thing about being live. I can't, like that 8 minutes did happen to start Minifandom, but viewers, block it from your mind. Tom, straight into it. What do you think about the new Cullinane era? I've got a lot of thoughts, but you start.
I love Cullinane. I think it's very important, and this is going to make me sound old and useless, but I think it's very important that Kirk be in there with a radio guy, with a guy who's been in radio. Not that radio is relevant like it was right now, and but in radio you have to learn to be a self-starter in 18 different ways. You have to be autonomous. Everybody's understaffed, so Dave knows how to do a whole bunch of stuff. Dave knows what to do when the pressure gets hot. When stuff happens, when you're on the air, and stuff isn't working and you can't communicate, you just got to learn to breathe and just go with it. And I think that it's like two guys who have been it's like two guys who have been like in combat, maybe not the same theater or whatever. And I know the radio is not combat.
Danny was never in combat. Danny was
never
in combat.
But I'm just saying that it's two guys who have shared experience that they know that they can trust each other to have a certain skill set. And that's huge for Dave. Dave also was a great producer when he was a radio producer. He was very innovative and he was just awesome. That said, he seems totally and already unmotivated. And it's this bitchy frigging winter toque in gloves thing at Saco. What a bad look that was, bundling up there because it was 64 degrees out. So I don't see him like hitting the ground running. Like, what's he doing? What are all the Dave ideas? At least the first time around, he gave us ideas. He didn't fulfill any one of them, but at least he bothered to try to give you ideas. So I don't know. I'm glad he's back, but I hope he kicks into gear. I hope he's excited about it. At least last time he was trying to get on Spittin' Chicklets. At least he was motivated last time. So I would like to see him throw it into gear.
Danny?
Tom, can I make a mild correction to, I think what you said is generally accurate. However, I will remember the day that Dave Cullinane was introduced and actually started as Kirk Minahan's producer. On the day that it happened, it was a big deal. He launched the link tree. There was merch available. That Minifan with the Michael Jordan. That all happened that day.
Yeah, he was
YouTube Live.
He was locked in
those first couple of weeks. I mean, it was like a president's first 100 days. I mean, it was auspicious and how, I guess, amazing it was in many ways. And I was kind of hoping there'd be a rebirth of that.
But you know what he didn't do? He's a real estate guy who couldn't find Kirk a new studio. So he's stuck in that Bin Laden compound, the hellhole in Watertown.
Well, couldn't or didn't?
Can I make some points then?
Yes.
Tom, that's just ridiculous. Saying that Kirk needs a fucking radio producer is so dumb. It's not, I mean, typical, you come from radio, you would say that.
Mm-hmm.
He actually needs the opposite. He needs someone who's forward thinking, who understands social media, who understands podcasting, who knows what lands. Doing a fucking radio show and putting it out as a podcast is not going to fly. Plus, I think it makes Cullinane lazy because he just thinks you turn on the mics and gab away. And that's what you do in radio. You got, for you've got 5 shows a week. They're 3 or 4 hours. You've got to fill that fucking time. Whereas on a podcast, it's about delivering value into the listeners in the time they're putting into the show because they choose to listen. And I think a radio producer is the last thing he needs. Dave obviously has a lot of skills, but I just think him being from radio is not appropriate.
I could totally disagree. I think that Kirk looks for drops, and you didn't have that during the Cullinane era, so actually maybe that works against my argument. Kirk looks for story ideas, and Dave thinks like a producer. He knows what's hot. He's also very media savvy. Like he knows what everybody's.
Sorry. So Dave knows what's hot. He goes to the front page of the fucking newspapers and picks the lowest hanging fruit available. He puts no thought into anything. He doesn't dig into anything. When Kirk says to him, "Okay, you bring this up, give me more," there's never anything there.
Well, okay, he knows what's hot. Doesn't necessarily mean he's always generating what's hot for Kirk, but Dave has done radio. He's had to talk on the air. So he knows how that is to be the person who's done all the lifting, where if you stop talking, it goes silent. And I think that's an irreplaceable asset as well.
But he's a good talker. He's a good talker.
But Kirk doesn't need that, though, does he? I mean, Kirk
can...
but he doesn't need it, but any bit helps. I mean, especially like at Saco. There were times when if Kirk stops talking and there's a lull in the crowd because he's not only doing crowd work, but he's people are watching at home. I mean, it's a harder job, a harder lift if you don't have a support system there. And Mike gets it obviously, and he's not. Mike is from radio actually, so yeah. I'm sorry. I think I just think that there's something to be said.
But Tom, I think that's also I see where you're going with that, but that's a live show. That's not you don't need a radio producer to help you fill between crowd work and vamp, in a live show environment. I see what you're saying about if you were talking like a traditional radio guy who's not Kirk Minahan's level going into the podcast studio. Yes, if there's a lull, maybe you need somebody like that to kind of plug things in. But what do you think? I mean, this criticism that has come up time and time again, and I very inarticulately brought it up on the show and got my dick slapped, which understandably so. But this whole thing about Kirk relying on the producers for content, what's next? And that definitely has been a change over the years when you look at how it was with Steve Robinson to now. And I think maybe the pendulum has swung too far in one direction or the other. What do you think about that?
I think that that's a tool that they use that allows all of them to riff off of stuff in the news cycle in their own way if they're talented enough to do it. I do think that a few years ago that the show began to center on its own storylines that were being generated in the studio and from outings they had with the them going to that place near Milton's in Burlington, with the burgers and wings, or burgers and fries, whatever, the one that Steve couldn't get.
The Red Robin.
Right. And I think that there was more making storylines out of Madawaska, the hot dog eating contest and all that stuff, making show with just 3 of them there. And I think Kirk's got a good knack for that. And I think that does show a real talent, but he seems to get bored of stuff. I mean, I would never have stopped the phone calls. I thought the phone calls were fantastic, but he's just had enough of it after a while. And so he just moves on from stuff. And then the parody songs, get rid of those forever. I mean, they seem to be getting better and better. But he gets bored of stuff. I mean, that's like I told before he came on. I told Manners that Kirk would be tough to work for, because he's too driven. He's too motivated to always do stuff. And like it's easier to work for a nice lazy host. Of course, the show sucks.
Well, I mean, there's an element of laziness there where he just turns up and asks the producers to feed him stories to react to. I mean, if I was his executive producer, I would be looking to exactly what you say, keep him interested. But my element wouldn't just be, he's read out a story and see if it twigs your interest. I mean, I think, and this is such a thing that can be transferred across all industries. Sometimes the most talented and most intelligent people don't know what's best for them. That's why they have managers. That's why you have a producer. Like Kirk often doesn't know what's best for him. And that's just a fact. And the fact is he's surrounded himself with yes men. And until he gets someone around him to really produce him like a producer can, then we'll never see the total sort of realization of his talent. And maybe
that person would last 5 seconds, though.
Right.
That's bullshit, Danny. So that's you and Tom being brainwashed and fucking falling into the old trap of each of Minifandom. I'm scared of Kirk. A good producer would make Kirk realize what he's missing out on, what the potential is. Because Kirk, you said it, Tom, he gets bored. Imagine he was around someone that actually was not on his level, in terms of let's do stuff. Let's move. Let's always be moving forward. I think actually that would motivate him. But, he's got one fat lump whose idea of doing content was exercise videos and puking up in a bucket, and all about him, nothing about the show, no thought went into it. Actually, sorry, I think some thought went into that stuff from Justin. Not good thoughts, but some thought. But, how is Kirk going to see that and go, this is the guy for me. Justin's the guy for me to make me better. No, he's a guy I can make fun of.
Quick devil's advocate. Do you think Steve Robinson was that person until he left? I know you weren't a big fan of his, but he did challenge Kirk, but it was also 4 years ago now. Was that a different Kirk back then? It was a different show at some level?
Steve Robinson certainly had that element where if you wanted to, and Tom would have seen it, there was, if Steve was engaged, he could challenge Kirk in a lot of ways. 2 things he could do. Intellectually, he could keep up with him on air. So they could actually argue. So it wasn't like Cullinane where Steve would spit out something but then have nothing to back it up. So they could actually argue about stuff. But also, Steve, and I hate to say this, was smart enough to know how to get stuff out of Kirk, whether that's push buttons or plug certain content into the show. But I think that dissipated pretty quickly after about 6 to 12 months when he started looking for a new job.
And I think Kirk was more open to political conversation at that point. So for whatever reason, he's sort of gotten away from that unless it's something that really sort of picks at him. So I'll ask you. So I'm here on screen with 2 people that could potentially technically produce this show. I mean, Tom, you have the geographical advantage here where you're right here. I feel like you kind of get slammed on for some reason. I mean, you and Kirk have a history. I feel like you've been great on the show when you've been there. You've proven yourself as a broadcaster, a podcast host, an AM radio host. Like you have the capability. What's holding that back? Why has that not become a thing? And then, Manners, we've talked about you becoming a producer a million times, but let's just talk about Tom for a second. I'm interested to hear what his thoughts would be.
Well,
Kirk hates Tom. Kirk would never hire Tom.
Why?
Well, ask Kirk. He doesn't like him.
Correct. And I'm old and have 30 kids, and where I live is it's although I'm in the same state, I'm essentially in New Hampshire. This is like ridiculous up here. But I'm also I don't know anything. Danny, I also don't know anything about Barstool really. I like Portnoy, and
who cares? Kirk didn't either until 2 years ago.
Well, right. I am dedicated to doing my own thing. Right now. He didn't ask me to, but anyway,
okay.
He doesn't.
Right.
He hasn't.
Let's take all. Just say like,
right.
All right. So Soros fires you tomorrow. God hope doesn't happen. Say it happens. You get the Burn Barrel, which is one of my favorite podcasts. Great job. We'll talk about that later, I'm sure. I love it. Just vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
You, Kirk, produce. Why not?
Well, I mean, I spent a bunch of years with it very difficult to work with host already, and like a lot of that stuff I'm fine not doing anymore. I'm a little
Can
bit
I just say
old.
Kirk is not difficult to work with. Everybody who works for him or with him says he's a great boss.
Oh, yeah, might be a great boss.
Does your age factor in, Tom? Does your age and your history with him, like, there's something that doesn't connect. Like,
well,
he looks like he ate a lemon every time your name comes up, and I don't get why.
Yeah, I noticed that in Sacco too. When he said, "Oh, he's out there," when he thought I was in the crowd.
But is it a bit or is it real?
No, I think me and Gilroy are. And Alice says she thinks she knows what it is. Me and Gilroy are in our own. Like, he seriously thinks that we're using him.
Gilroy's an asshole, though. You're actually a nice guy.
Is he
who has interesting.
Yeah, he's the biggest asshole.
Yeah, he seems to
and
be.
fake. I mean, he's exposing. He says he listens to the show. He doesn't.
Maybe I see. Well, I
you actually listen.
Yeah, well, we used to have. I used to run a digital radio station at the Boston Herald, and we had Gilroy there. We had Tommy Quinlan there. This is 10 years ago. We had a lot of these guys here, and I thought they were all great guys. But no, Kirk seems to think I'm using him, and that he says that stolen valor and opportunist. I don't get it.
You did send a letter to Big Cat.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't mention him at all. I didn't even tell him.
It also seems to be. Because
I want to be sure here, because I sent a letter to Big Cat. I also sent a letter to Portnoy, to Erica, to Ben Shapiro, to the Blaze, to Glenn Beck. I sent a very similar letter, depending on whether or not the outfit had gambling. It was the same thing. But yeah, absolutely. Since Massachusetts opened up a casino, I figured a family that knows nothing about gambling could be the conduit for other people to start using the casino, and it made it for a good pitch, mostly really for Penn. And I saw that they had what's her name's mother in Barstool, so I thought, okay, maybe we are. So it was absolutely not a, hey, I'm friends with Kirk Minahan, and I certainly didn't ask Kirk to help me, but I sent it to all people all over Barstool. I sent it to everybody.
So I think that's where he gets the impression that you want to.
Yeah, but but that's unfair because the only thing that was referenced in that pitch was I can produce everything here like I do in my studio here, like the Kirk Minahan show does, another show from Massachusetts where they do everything themselves. That's it. But I don't know. But it bothers him.
And compare that to somebody like, again, guys that I like. So obviously the little caveat there, but a Mick or a Clemmer. I mean, look at what these. I mean, they've all used Kirk, quote unquote, a lot more than Tom ever has. I don't see why that's. I don't know. I just feel like there's something there. Is there something that we don't know? Because I thought your appearance on show 2 years ago, I think, was excellent.
So Danny, get Tom's copy.
So I'm a Tom Sip. That's fine.
I just like to welcome in.
I feel
Michael
like once
Montante.
again,
Danny's on.
Thank you for having me. Danny is just run away, huh? Nothing changed.
Bad
there.
internet.
Montante, am I rich yet, Montante? Did you see my bets?
No, you're betting. You're betting like you have $10 and you have 4 hours to pay a $1,000 bill. No, you're not rich. You'll never be rich. Stop doing that. Like I told you, bet amount of money that would hurt you to lose, but you feel good in. If gambling was as easy as you think it would be, nobody would work.
Yeah, but the guy who is guiding me wins stuff. He cashes checks every week.
We all do. Doesn't mean you're making money.
Is Montante your advisor? Or is there another one?
No.
Montante, you got a shout out on WTIC, by the way, down in Connecticut.
Let's just pretend I did not hear it.
Yeah. Start listening, please, Montante. I need all the help I can get.
I actually don't think I can. I'm out of your range.
It's called the Odyssey app. You and Metters can both listen live.
Yeah. Did Shattuck bring up maybe my most embarrassing secret, but I'll own it.
Ooh. Oh, this is going to be in the.
Going to bring it up. Bring it up.
Shattuck, go ahead.
Your most embarrassing secret?
Yes, it involves you directly.
Do I know this?
Yeah, I texted you last week.
Oh
Ding
yeah,
dong.
yeah. You wanted to go into business to join
Last-
the burn barrel.
I thought you.
Last week, I was hammered. I was like, you know what? I was like, I wouldn't have to move. I do like podcasting. I can do it at night. So I was hammered, and I was like, you know what? Let me call Tom. If he answers right now, fantastic. I'll make my embarrassing pitch. If he doesn't, it never happened. He didn't answer, thank God. He texted me like a week later. And I was like, by the way, this call was about X, Y, and Z. Who knows? We could have changed the world. The world could be very, very different than where it is right now. But
What was your pitch, Montante? What was your idea?
let's do a show every night. Let's raise the Patreon level a wee bit so I can get a teeny tiny cut. You know, I'll be more interesting than Alice. I won't look as good as Alice. I'll never lie to anybody.
But she's a data and analytics nerd. She's good. She does a lot of stuff that I would find and you would find horribly boring.
Of course, but we'll never know. I thought it'd been a good thing.
Mm.
I thought it'd been good.
I'm thinking of turning Men as Live pro. So how many Patreons can we get supported?
Yeah.
So I'd like to join your $100 a month club. Actually, that sounds great.
Excellent, good stuff. I'd like to have you as a member.
You might as well. Did you touch on this on the Australian Minifan show?
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking of ramp up the Men as Live productions to make it a professional endeavor.
Thanks for listening, Mike.
A couple of shows a week, huge
Cool.
Patreon,
Cocksucker.
and just add something valuable to the world.
You guys take EBT card for Danny or?
Yeah, yep.
That was a low blow. All right. That was not right. Okay,
I'm not throwing stones, believe me. Hey, Miners, how do you prepare lamb?
What the fucking sort of question is this?
You just said that you cook lamb and you have it all the time during the
Yes.
I take it all back. I take it all back. Tom, you're fired.
I want to know how you cook lamb because I've had it before at a restaurant and it's delicious, but I don't prepare it.
Well, it depends what piece of the lamb you're eating. But how about off air one time when you have lamb? Give me a call. I'll run you through the whole thing.
Prefer to do it
this
now.
is what-
Maybe that could be
I'll
an episode of Men is Live. Like that could be behind a paywall. So
This is
my
why
lamb
Kirk
recipe.
needs a real radio producer like Tom Shattuck for the real hard hitting
true.
topics.
No,
Yeah,
you know
good
what? The
instincts.
Do you like men with your lamb?
The going theory is that me and Gilroy have our own thing we're doing in our own profit centers outside of the world. And so that's how we're not
Yours is gambling.
Well, we're not giving it back in. So whereas Mick revolves around Kirk, my podcast doesn't revolve around Kirk. I mean, it's certainly he's been involved, and whenever he is, the numbers spike. There's no doubt about that. So maybe that's it. I don't know, but that's my moles tell me that's at work. Stolen valor.
Interesting.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Anyway, if I were to do Men as Live, it would certainly be massive leech off Kirk. So we'll talk about it. It's in the works. It would mean more
Right,
shows.
but Men's Life would be Kirk centric. So at least
Yes.
you're amplifying show content. Right.
That's right. Absolutely.
Right, which I'm not really doing in my other thing. I had Leach's podcast that my friend Menners brought to fruition.
Yeah, why did that stop?
Yeah, because
why did that stop? That was it. Kirk. Well, put it on the Menners network then.
I'm afraid that he'll liquidate it again.
He can't. Menners is in charge of that. Or put on the Beanbag Ron network, or put on a blood fart thing.
Tom, I just want to be open and honest with you, and I
Oh boy.
I don't know if I should do this, but
This never.
Alright,
I mean,
ends well.
my plan all along was to get you thrown off that network. When I invited you on the show and I released the episode on the Sunday morning, I just knew it would sit uncomfortably with Kirk and you would get thrown off. And I took great joy in doing it. Everybody that turned on me, I have in a little book, and I'm slowly ticking them off. Gilroy, there's a whole list of people that I have exacted revenge.
Oh, that
on.
is good.
And I think now that I'm in a better place emotionally and stuff.
It's almost as if it's a plot, but with you and Kirk as the bookends. You feed him the podcast, he kicks it back to you, you get it deleted.
Yep.
It's brilliant.
Yep. And it was all a cunning plan, released it Sunday morning. I knew John would be asleep till 3 p.m. and all this stuff.
That is
I
great.
thought through every stage of that. But I've also, in the last month, I've decided to let go of all that hate and animosity about
Thank
the
you.
people.
That's healthy. That's
turned on
healthy.
me. So I've started to just realize, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And yeah. I'm not
I
sorry.
appreciate
I enjoyed it. I did an immense amount of satisfaction getting revenge on you and Gilroy and all those people. But the revenge tour is over. So,
well, thank you. I thank you for letting me crawl back into your kingdom, at least for this one fleeting moment.
well, you're always welcome back on my network, but I was just like, I'm going to get this fucking guy.
What is this up here? This square? Do you guys see that?
Minifandom logo. Minifandom
It is?
Logo.
How come it's in my box?
Logo means
He's a
logo.
Upright.
Huge fan.
Upright. So you mentioned something before about the studio in Watertown, Tom. You're not a fan of it.
I think it sucks.
I think it's a fine space, and you just need. Well, what is
that is a great term for the Australians. Fine space.
What is amazing is that they just do nothing with it. Like Coleman went in and cleaned it. It hadn't been cleaned in. It's like Cullinane and Justin are so lazy. It should be evolving all the time. It should be changing. Stuff in the background behind Kirk could be altered to fit in with what's going on.
I could not disagree more. You guys demented. What show is this? If you do too much, if you thank you, Menace, for if you do that, it was like it's too much. He wants it nice, plain and boring. That's not plain. I created a word. Nice, plain and boring. Nice and plain. He doesn't want anything to actually go on. Like that is crazy. Why do you want to spice up a studio when he does not? That's not what he wants. That is not even terrible.
It's filthy. It's not a terrible.
It's not filthy. It's not filthy.
It's not. So when you look at all the other Barstool shows, when they put their videos, there's they're well decorated, they're well lit, the sets are good. Like I understand it takes time, but they just do not do anything. Like that. It probably hasn't been cleaned.
Well, this is not that. That's bullshit. No, it's not. It's not disgusting. It's just is what it is at face value. It's a boring room.
There's a happy medium.
Just shows me their attitude.
Yeah, but Dave is like a co-host, and you got the second and third chair who have to crane their necks to talk to him if they can see him at all over there. It's not conducive. You want to make some eye contact, especially if you got Coleman back in there, who's a snake who can instigate and turn people over.
It is true. Is thus, I know Montante's lost some fat in his neck, but it is hard to turn this way and that way, and also keep the microphone. I will say it's not disgusting, but it's sort of like a freshman dorm outfitted with IKEA furniture. I do think it could be upgraded from that. I think disgusting is not the word, but there is a way to sort of make it something. There's also multiple rooms there that just have shit in it. And believe me, my house is like that, so I'm not one to speak. But in a way, I think there could be something. And you're not going to have a basketball court and a Golden Tee game in the room next door. But there could be something done with the studio. I mean, I would tend to agree. An upgrade, I think, would be appropriate.
And also, they never put any time into actually getting the camera frames right. When they frame people, it's so depressing.
I would appreciate. I would appreciate a higher angle.
Yeah, no kidding, dude.
And sometimes it's like all waste and something. Speaking of depressing, here's Andy Mayo.
Hey!
Oh God! Oh no!
Can I what?
You've got us open in another tab.
Sounds like you're in a rainforest.
I turned it off.
Turn it down.
Turn what down?
There's an echo. I'm
not getting echo. I'm getting a faucet.
Oh, it's because I'm playing you on YouTube. Did that stop it?
You're a fucking idiot. Yes.
The studio is not disgusting, Manners.
No,
That's
sounds awful.
Oh, it sounds terrible.
Awful.
Holy shit!
Terrible.
Well, what instinct is that?
I mean, I don't know what he's doing, but that sounds awful.
Is this Minifandom or the most disgusting orgy of all time?
Did you guys discuss both?
So, can you take that headset off, please?
I'm working on it.
Menace, did you guys discuss the producer show earlier or no?
No, but bring it up. I mean, it's on my list of like.
My thing is real quick.
This week.
How do you?
Let the host.
You have.
Well,
I
just barges up.
Let's talk
about the Giants.
Shut up, Danny. Indeed, pal. I jumped on and I saw. I was like, all right, great. We got about an hour.
Copper for you in my butt.
All right, copper's actually up, so good time for that. So I had an hour of time to listen to it, and then it was over after like 28 minutes. I understand that they're not Kirk. No one will be Kirk, but how can you not go 35, 40 minutes just talking amongst each other? How's that show only 28 minutes?
They're lazy.
No,
they're morons.
impossible.
They put no effort into it. Like literally, all that would have taken for them to do an hour show was to spend 15 minutes preparing. That's all.
And I got news for you. Why can you not have a guest in, a normal guest? Why can you not have Cinema Lords or fucking even Andy Mayo? Do a fucking 90-minute producer show with idiot Andy Mayo. Lord knows he's got nothing else going on. Why can we not?
Well, why couldn't you send them a 3-minute video like they asked for? You're too big for the producer.
What is the benefit of that?
To make because you would look stupid.
3 more minutes towards the 90 minutes.
No thanks. No, all those videos suck. I want no part of it.
Oh, one of them? Yeah, the Julie one was.
All of them suck. Good. No, it's an impossible task.
Where do you get off having any pride, Montante?
Right there. That's my line.
That's
no.
I guess everyone has one.
Drive 7 hours.
What is
drive 7 hours to
make
an ass yourself? I'll do it.
Long producer show?
No, that's me bitching about it. The producer show.
It's terrible.
I had 45-minute. Yeah, it's. Go ahead, man.
Their week has been terrible. I mean,
yeah,
they had the whole week off. I mean, Cullinane just got the job back. You'd think he'd be like, okay, I'm going to nail this live show. Kirk's off for a week. We're going to do some great stuff. But he could not give a shit. He spent more time combined with Nurse Kim than he has spent on producer content this week. At the soccer show, he had nothing. The videos were mailed in. I mean, it's a disgrace. It's absolute disgrace.
Well, is it that he's at an equal base with Justin? Is this taking the wind out of his sails?
I think he's lower.
Is he lower?
Yeah, I think so.
What's he? I wonder what he's getting. If he's not, I mean, is somebody there making the 105,000 that Steve was?
Maybe the two of them
combined. I think below that because I think he saved a little bit, right, when he switched to Coleman and Gus.
Did he? Yeah, I'm just surprised. Maybe Dave is feeling his way out. Maybe this is not a long-term thing.
In the history of the show,
I almost think that he's allowed to fuck off and do his little real estate shit and just show up 3 times a week in studio, and just that's about it. That's what he's doing. So
I don't think so. I mean, that's what he's doing, but I don't think that's the arrangement.
Well,
what if it was the arrangement? I mean, so
we've actually got Montante.
Sounds like Mikey Insider might probably know.
Montante, you can't tease it like that and then not.
That's
not
quite
bring us
limited
to completion. Bring us to completion. Finish.
No, that's literally the thing I said to Kirk, and they said as much on air. Was I was like, he's looking for a second person to be in there, and I said, hey, I spoke to Cullinane a year ago. If you let him do his bullshit on the side and just let him do that, let him be free, you can give him a huge pay deduction and just let him do his thing. And a week later, Cullinane's in studio. So don't expect much from Cullinane. He's doing the bare minimum. No, I didn't see the contract that he signed, but
can we blame you? Montante, you're to blame for this. Like, we're stuck with Cullinane again because of you.
I love Cullinane in there, so you could put that blame on me all day. No problem.
Me too.
If Cullinane was not in there, what else would it be?
I support Cullinane.
What else would it be right now if Cullinane?
I'd rather nobody. Honestly, I'd rather nobody.
Oh, fuck out of here.
Well, so Dave brought on.
No way. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Dave brought Peltz back in, right?
That's okay. I plead the fifth on this one.
Well, shouldn't we? Should he maybe now have a requirement that the third chair be good,
or say more than 20 words?
Well,
why start now?
Well, no. I mean, they did start. I mean, what was it? It was what's his name? The Swedish kid.
Greg
Polar, who's awesome, obviously.
Swedish kid.
No, I know. You know what I mean. I love Polar. I think he's a great guy. And he's also like a kind of a genius kind of guy. He's a brilliant thinker, and
he's also your age.
I think, I think he is just about.
Swedish kid.
But like him, Andy Mayo, Montante, I'll even keep Danny and me out of it. But like. And Ted Sellers should be a staple in there.
How do we get lumped in with the Swedish kid? Oh, that's nice.
Once a week, Ted Sellers.
I disagree, Tom. I'll tell you what. There's even the best third chairs. Like I love Montante. Even the best ones, I don't need them more than once a month. There's really nobody that I want in there that regularly. I don't know. Am I alone on that?
Yeah.
You guys really want to hear
Well,
Ted
does,
like
does
once
nobody
a week?
include that you're exempting Mike, Blind Mike? Right?
No, I don't count Blind Mike as a third.
No,
chair.
he's
Blind Mike
a-
is a co-host.
I just assume that Blind Mike's in there 2 out of 3 times,
Yes, yeah, we can work with that assumption.
and he's not a guest. He's like he's a part-time co-host. No,
But it's not so much to me like the names. It's just a minimum level. Like, I think it's great to bring in a Minifan, try them, and you there's something there always when you meet a new character. But you know, Pelts came in a couple of times. It was clear it wasn't working. Dave should never have asked him back in. I mean, it's just, you know, there's been a lot of great Minifans in there who've been, you know, 60, 70%, which is a pass for me. You know, they're not the stars like Montante.
I
Like
would
a
think
cliff.
in a perfect world, you have a rotating third chair list that you can count on 2 hands. 9 rotating, and then maybe every other week, you know, on a Friday show, you have a, you know, wild card that comes in, and maybe they get added to it. And as someone gets added to it, someone else gets bumped off through life and whatnot.
So I guess we're talking about the second chair. So the second chair has to be 9 people who know what they're doing. The third chair, that's where you can bring in the off the street guys.
Well, what do you mean?
I think second.
I know,
chair is
I know
Blind Mike
what
and Mutt. Blind Mike and Mutt.
Tom's
are
saying.
second
You
chairs.
always need
And
a strong
Kohler.
person with Kirk. So you
Right.
need Kirk and Blind Mike. Or
So
someone else.
I'm assuming Blind Mike's in there, like I said, 2 out of 3 shows.
But
And then the
what-
rest of the shows.
Tom's saying you need a strong lead with him, and then you can bring in an extra person,
Right.
to sort of like a Cinema Lords, who's kind of like, you know, window dressing or something. So
Well,
that's sort of,
he's just a name that people know.
yeah, like Beanbag Ron. He's a good 4th chair. Sit there.
People know him. People know him.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. What about Mutt? And I mean, I'll start with you, Tom, as you're the lead guest, but then we'll go around the room. I think we've hit peak Mutt. Like, I think too much Mutt talk, too much Aiton Shander talk. It's a running bit now, and I think he, a bit like what Andy was saying, like, I think Mutt would be better coming in every couple of weeks or every few weeks.
I disagree. Mutt, I could
said
use
to
once
Tom.
a week.
No,
And
well,
I'm
so
saying
my-
you're misrepresenting what I said.
my feeling with Mutt is that he's essentially an ESPN sports guy. And what does that get you? The only thing that he does for the show is Kirk loves him, and it makes Kirk feel good to have him there. And that's something. That's not nothing. But other than that, Mutt is very vanilla. I mean, he's got a radio voice and he can broadcast right back to Kirk and I guess that's something. But like we said, this is not a radio show, and he's not interesting. Montante is interesting, you know. There's nothing really. Right. There's nothing that's happening that's like self-destructive or volatile about
What?
Mutt. No, I don't think there is.
That's
I mean,
fine.
There's nothing
four-year-old-
self-destructive.
He's got a 4-year-old
Mutt.
DUI. I
He
mean,
can argue his whole life.
Yeah, he got
Well,
offered a job at Barstool and turned it down.
that's
Like,
self-sabotaging.
so Tom, what is that like for you? Like, you begged for the opportunity Mutt was given. You got down and groveled like a bitch to everybody at
Oh my!
Barstool.
Whoa!
You
Jesus.
threw your pride, and
Manners, good God Almighty!
then Portnoy
groveled like
offers
a
it to
bitch.
Mutt
It's so aggressive.
on air, and he just turns it down. I mean, you must have been furious.
I was not furious. I was certainly envious. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And I was furious that he coughed up the offer that Mutt is given this thing to a growing endeavor like Barstool. Yeah, hell, Jesus. Yeah, that's like if Ben Shapiro, you know, made me a pitch. I'll be in Tennessee in 10 minutes if Ben Shapiro calls me. But yeah, I couldn't believe he just blew it off. Holy hell! But that tells you, like we said, that he thinks being like an ESPN fill-in national thing is cool, and I couldn't imagine doing that. That's awful. So yes, there was some anguish there. There's no doubt about that.
And
I
I
also
think
don't know anything about sports.
in the end, it
And
seems to be really what he wants, though. I mean, he wants to be that boring guy that does the sports flash and, you know, can just really focus on horse racing or something. I think at some point we have to stop psychoanalyzing Mutt. Look, I was vindicated. I was apologized to from Kirk, and I appreciate that, because I do think there was maybe something to the whole, you know, gambling conspiracy, and maybe we'll find that out someday.
Thank you, Menace. Thank you, Menace, for going into bat for you.
Yep,
absolutely. I got on the front foot.
Sure. Yep. It's all about you. And really
Those are
appreciate that. But
cricket expressions.
I think that in the end, he's going to do what he wants to do, and we have to stop. Look, this is the unexplainable moment. We can't explain
now.
death, and we don't know about why Mutt wouldn't take this job. So at some point, we just have to let it go.
Andy, I know you wanted to get your Mutt take out.
No, I just you were saying you said that I said
Danny's
I
the
don't
best.
want Mutt in there once a week,
Oh,
and that's not
God.
true. Mutt I would take once a week, if not more. The
Correct.
thing I like about Mutt is he's the only person that is legitimately friends with Kirk. So there's a unique chemistry between him and Kirk. Like, I agree, Mutt's not he's not dynamite, but he's awesome on the show because he has that unique chemistry with Kirk.
Yeah, you're right.
I agree.
That's his only friend, I guess. Yeah, other than when he does hits with Andy Nolan or his brother. I guess it's but yeah, it's just not the end product. I don't think is all that great when he's there. But, well, by the way, in the radio world in Boston, Mutt is known as like the best guy, the greatest guy in the world, and I guess he could see how. But yeah, I don't see the value other than just making Kirk comfortable.
His
Danny
wife
okay?
his wife cuts the internet off at a certain
No,
time
I just mean
every
his.
night.
You can see the depression in his eyes.
Fair.
Andy, why are you so mean? Why are you so
I'm not
to
mean.
Danny?
I'm
Manners.
concerned about
Manners.
the guy. I've been
Manners.
there. I've been there. You can
In-
see it
in-
in someone's
in a
eyes.
in a perfect
In whose
world,
eyes? In Danny's?
Danny and
Danny, it's
Billerica.
what he's
Oh,
like.
really?
In a
Yeah,
perfect
I think
world,
he's down.
if they had 9 people, that's including Kirk, just rotating. Like, we don't need to see a bunch of new faces. Just keep the same people rotate. It's a healthy rotation. You can make it work. And every once in a while, you have an outlier. Like,
Exactly.
we don't need a bunch of new people in there. Like, we don't need and it can happen. When it happens, it has to be something that's special. It can't be something that's expected. And if they're fucking fantastic and they pop, great, bring them back in. But give me normalcy. I want normalcy back on the show. Normalcy is Ryan Whitney. Normalcy is Blind Mike. Normalcy is Mutt.
Polar when he can.
Keep normalcy. I don't like who's in tomorrow. Oh, it's fucking Greg Polar's nutsack. Oh, great, fantastic. And some guy who goes in there, he's a fucking substitute math teacher, and he stinks.
Can I say something controversial here? There has never been a woman who's worked with him. I don't think Kirk likes talking to women
because women are not funny.
Yeah, they're not funny. That's true, and they've never been in that studio with him.
Other than Tommy.
Your wife ruined it for the entire gender, Tom.
Quinlan was funny.
No,
Quinlan made us laugh.
It just so
happened.
Our friend Bree.
Bree lit it up.
I thought Bree was better than. I thought she was better than people gave her credit for.
Oh no, nothing against Bree. It was just a classic.
Andy.
Like, she's not part of the world, and it was like having me in for Cullinane's return. Everyone, it was the day after the live show, and everyone was like, "What the fuck is she doing?"
That was such a tough spot.
Yeah,
you did it well, but good lordy. Woo.
Metters, let me share my screen. Let's get. Should we document Montante's 9?
No.
Whoa,
no,
come on.
No,
a little collaborative.
This is Minifandom. I've done this with you before, and it's awful.
What does that mean?
Tom, forget it.
You daft T.
Yeah, I would like to see more women. I would like to see Lucy Burge in there as soon as possible.
No, you would not.
My dream.
No, you would
That's
not.
my dream.
You're full of shit.
I would love to see
Metters,
her in
can't you
there.
just appreciate the show for what it is rather than get hung up on what you want it to be?
You can talk, Mr. Fucking Whiner over there. You embody the whiner line.
You want more women on there, but you're against him for whining. Okay, I'll play along.
He's pretty good with Julie. He busts Julie's balls.
But she's not good.
No, but I'm just saying,
awful.
you're saying he can't work with women. I'm saying he is. Julie is the closest that he's come to treating a female
I
guest
was saying
like
the
he
closest
treats
thing to
male
a
guests.
woman. I was going to say, good God, that's mean. Okay.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I
but
wouldn't be- I
she
wouldn't
very
be-
Good.
palpably is in love
All right,
with him
good.
too, which to me adds another dimension. It's like it's not great. It's not great that she's the way she looks at him, the way she talks to him, and then she's desperately. I mean, I don't know. I got my own problems, but I don't love that. Be not in love with him.
Maya makes a good point though that Kirk has made an effort with Julie to keep her part of the show. Even though she's terrible on air, he's invited her in a few times, and sort of he has an aversion to the opposite sex when it comes to these type of things. But he's trying.
I mean, consider too, like, what was the most controversial, arguably, moment of his career? It was something he said about a woman. So maybe he is particularly still sensitive to the fact that as much as
So
he
why
wants
he
to
doesn't
be
have them on his show?
No,
Well,
but I'm
he
just
knows-
saying,
Because
in
what
order to
he's
have
afraid he's
someone
gonna,
on his
right.
afraid he's
in
going to call
order
them
to
a
have
bitch
someone
again.
on his show, he needs to be able to treat them the same way he treats me or Montante or any other
Right.
person, and he has trouble doing that with women. And part of an explanation for that could be because he knows that the fucking pitchforks and flaming torches are going
You
to
can
come
have
out
a
for
woman
him
in studio
if there's
and not
clips
call her a
online of
bitch.
him saying that stuff about
That's,
him.
Yeah,
that's
but you know what? No,
such
but
a
no,
sexist
no,
comment.
Menace, where I disagree with you is if the show's going slow, you're looking for shock value. You don't have shock value with a woman because next thing you know, a boring show turns into cancellation. So you can have fucking fat retards in like Mean Steve from Gloucester and calls fat and retarded. You have a fucking boring fat woman in. Next thing you know, you're on fucking TMZ. It's over. It's not worth it. It's not worth having women in 2024. It's not.
Yeah, but you would have as a woman who could play along. What I find interesting too is
Most of them can't.
Kirk doesn't even like objectify women. He doesn't talk about hot.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
You can't talk about that Sydney Sweeney's like a smoke show. You can't say that.
I can, but I'm not. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but maybe he knows his daughter listens to the show, but also
okay.
Maybe
he
he's,
respects women,
maybe he's
Tom.
part.
No, nobody's got time for that, Andy. Shut up.
It could be that.
Wrong show, pal.
It could be that.
No,
yeah, but
it could be that he respects women.
Is it disrespectful to notice that a woman's beautiful and hot?
No, but
not respectful.
maybe
kind of, yeah. To like publicly treat him like yes, kind of, yeah.
To say that Sydney Sweeney's a beautiful woman with gorgeous breasts, is that disrespectful?
That's my cue.
It's not particularly.
I love you guys. See you guys later.
Bye.
Tom, like if a bunch of actually, Tom, you might not be the best person to ask this. I was gonna say if a bunch of us are sitting around talking about how much we want to have sex with your wife.
Yeah.
Am I talking you hard right now, Tom? Probably. But would that offend you?
No, Jesus.
No. Okay. See, if a bunch of guys are, I'd be like, oh, my wife's more than just hot. Like, fuck you.
Oh God, no. I think it's generational, Andy. I would have no problem with that. By the way, the best thing that I wrote a quote down from Ozzy Menner's show. This is the best thing in the world. This is about Mutt. I think this is Jamie who said this. This is a quote. He's a whore for not a lot of money jobs. How perfect is that? Like with his working these casinos for like the second lobby of these casinos.
He is self-destructive in the most boring way. He's not he's not like Jim Morrison, who is self-destructive and was a legend because of it. Mutt is self-destructive in the most vanilla way. Danny, are you okay? Danny,
I assume that's his. Oh wait, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just.
Are you depressed?
Now that I'm unemployed.
Yes, that was a pause. All right, Danny,
yeah, it's two different issues though. It's also a tech issue.
Oh, you're depressed.
Yeah, he's changed since he lost his job. He's had to downgrade his internet plan to Australian speeds.
Yeah. Well, and actually, I used to use my my work computer for this, and now I have an old Windows 95 computer that doesn't work very well. So
great. I've got a lot of listener questions here. A whole stack of them I want
to
get
into.
Them. I did. Yeah.
Thank you,
but before we get into that, and Tom, we'll start with you. What do you think the chances are now Kirk goes away for a while and pursues making the case, a real success? He goes on.
I don't think he quits this show. I think this show, KMS, is almost a kind of a therapy for him. It's a repository for, it's almost like a captain's log, the day in, day out that he gets to do and use and mark where he was. It's a part of a legacy that he'll leave his kids. Are you guys there? Am I out?
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. Camera's off. Though.
Camera's. Okay. Sorry about that. That's I don't think he'll. Okay, I'm in the show. Here we go. I'm coming back.
It's all right. We can hear you, Tom.
Oh, you can?
Yes.
But I'm not on mic, right?
You think you're on mic, but the camera's off. Well, I'll give you a sec to sort yourself out. Danny, do you think Kirk's going to go away?
No, never.
But not go away. But do you think there's a chance he takes like a couple of months off? And
I do think I think there's something to that, and I do believe Kirk when he says he's having a great time, he's enjoying the show. Things are going well. I think what's going to happen is at some point there will be some sort of juncture in the road, which will probably be case related, where he goes off and just works on another project for a little bit. And I think that'll probably be good for him because I think in the long term, that's going to mean we have KMS for a longer time. Selfishly,
keep him fresh.
I think that's a good thing. Yeah. So it's almost like a sabbatical in a way. And I think the case season 1 did that for him in a way. Season 2, not so much, but I think it's going to recharge his batteries a little bit and let him come back. I mean, I think he seems to feed off the show just doing it, a couple times a week, and rightfully so, because he's amazing at it and there's a lot to it. But he also, to Tom's point, he gets bored with certain parts of it. So I think to be able to go off and do something else for a bit, even just the week in Chicago, I think is a good thing to give him time to reset and sort of recalibrate a little bit. But I think we'll have Kirk for a long time, but there may be a pause in there, and we just have to, fill it with amazing content like Minifandom.
I also think that the lack of promotion that Barstool gave to the case, season 1, and then I guess season 3, I guess season 2, whatever.
2, absolutely, yes. Season 1, they got sponsors, and it was a tape sponsor, the Taser sponsor, though. I mean, there were legitimate sponsors. There were no sponsors for season 2. There was just no effort put out whatsoever. That will never happen again. And I think it's not even.
But see, this is where an executive producer. There are ways to make a fortune off true crime podcasts without a direct sponsor. There are dynamic ad insertion. When you were getting the numbers he was getting, he could have made a fortune from that show. A fortune.
When the first case was solved, and it seemed like Kirk solved the case. When the second case was solved, and it seemed like Kirk solved the case, they did not scale up the apparatus to give his validation enough attention nationally. Like TMZ came and found him regardless, but still, it's like they should have retooled the comms department at Barstool and said, okay, for the next 2 weeks, we're putting this guy on tour. We're building this up and building up this franchise and adding budget to our new true crime department here. And let's make this guy a star. And they didn't.
So, for example, Tom, this is where I think this is actually a really good example of where I think Kirk's personality brings him down. So I think what would benefit the case and KMS is work better with Barstool, because it's a huge organization with huge resources in all areas. You should be using that for your own advantage all the time. But Kirk doesn't like to, because there's something in his personality that stops him from doing that. But a producer should just say, I'm going to do this, and I don't care what Kirk says, because I know this is better for you, better for your show, better for us. I wouldn't even tell Kirk. I would be talking to Barstool all the time about stuff. I wouldn't even tell him, because he's going to say, oh, don't talk to her, or don't talk to Kelly Martin about getting a guest on. Well, I'm like,
right.
If she's got good contacts, go on.
Who's the one producer that did that historically?
Steve?
Yep.
He
would get his dick slapped afterwards sometimes, but he would correct. But Menners is right. He's right. You've got to go forward with that. But at the same time, but Tom is also right in that the fact that Barstool is not capitalizing on the fact that Kirk, look, even if you want to overblow it, Kirk solved 2 murders. Yes, no, whatever, somewhere in the middle. Like, if he solved one or had something to do with one in any other media platform, if it was any other person at Barstool or any other media conglomerate, it would be shot through the roof. And somehow it's not. And even from the Minifans, like, we're not really doing it. Like, I think we tend to like, we're focusing on, silly shit like, the food truck at Saco. Like, we could do a lot more amongst our little group too, if we wanted to, but Kirk doesn't necessarily.
That comment's stupid. No. The last comment. Anyway, we've got some. We've got a lot of listener questions here, so I want to get. Let's do these listener questions, and I'll let Tom go to bed. I'm going to do some work. Thanks for everybody that's watching live. This live Minifandom recording on the Mena's Minifan Network. This is so. This is like something that producers could have thought about doing. We're going to come up with some talking points and talk about them to entertain the listeners, but instead they gave us 25 minutes of drivel. All right, Don the Jeweler, this is for you, Danny. Will Quantum Kirk ever make its triumphant return?
Yes.
Ooh.
Do we have a time frame?
No.
Okay, so that's a no.
Do we have
So-
a update on what it might look like?
Let me be clear. I don't want to bring back Quantum Kirk and then have it go away again. So it's got to be a situation where I'm comfortable with a producer. We've done some trials with a few different Minifans that have been out there. Some have made it public, but there may be some tapes out there. The show will come back, but it needs to be on my terms in a situation where I know it can continue in perpetuity. I'm very proud of the 25 plus episodes that Daver and I did.
You should be. It's great work.
It was some of the best work I've ever done, and I've just fallen into deep depression since then. So I want to bring back that, and Daver had a lot to do with that. And
Okay,
matters.
you answered the question. You answered the question.
Yeah. Okay. Why?
I'm just going to cut you
Mayo
off.
go, by the way.
I don't know. He's got to get up at 4:30 tomorrow morning, so probably just
Quantum Kirk will be back. I can't give a timeline until I know, and I will not answer the question until I know for sure.
And how low are you right now since being made redundant?
What do you think?
Well, I don't know. Some people are like happy because it's like, can start a new job and something fresh and new. Like that's what a positive person would be thinking.
Yeah, I'm fucking thrilled. No, actually, I'm actually very happy.
Good. So tell Mayo can fuck off then.
I've actually started a contract position. So I'm actually making some money on the side.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well done.
Yeah, we'll be okay.
Right.
I'm also, So thank you for asking. And thank you, Mayo. I'm okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah. Are you depressed, Tom?
I am not. I am blessed and burdened with being fairly stupid most of the day, and generally happy all the time, except for a year and a half ago, in which case I was not happy. But other than that, my whole life I'm happy. I'm a happy guy.
Where are all your kids, Tom? This is what I don't understand. I listen to your podcast. I listen to your content. Where do all your kids go all day, every day? Like, you don't seem to have to do anything with your kids. I have two kids and they drive me nuts, and you never seem to.
So the kids
interact with your children.
Other than the little one, the other four go to school. So they're gone from 9 to 2. And then Alice and I are running everywhere. Karate, sports, play practice, whatever. And then we bribe them to take care of everybody during the podcast, and that fails and falls to hell. Our life is a rolling clusterfuck. It is impossibly busy. We are not good at much at all.
But you come out with Menors, grant me this. You come out with a podcast every fucking day, and I think that deserves some respect. You've come out with a podcast every fucking day, 6 days a week for 3+ years now. I mean, that's
5 days. Yeah, it's 4 years. Yeah. No, well, thank you. Obviously, we like doing it, and actually, I don't want to bore you with marriage stuff, but it's kind of it is boring.
Marriage hates marriage.
It's kind of a good way to check in with somebody in the house amid the craziness.
When you guys do well with that, yeah.
I love Tom though. I love Tom because he does all this stuff. He's got 5 kids.
Mm-hmm.
He's busy, but he never complains. He's always happy. He always jumps on. It's the real mensch here, as they say in the Jewish community. All right, next question. I'm going to ignore Siggy's question. Suburban Tug Time. Is Justin okay? I'll start. He's okay. But that eating and puking video was very strange instincts. What do you think, Tom?
One, I like the food selection. Those are things that I would eat separately. I think that those.
I bet you've stopped at McDonald's on the way to Chinese food before.
My problem is I'm a late night eater rather than I'm a pig out eater. But I mean, I do eat badly. That said, if Justin wanted to lose weight, it is remarkable how badly he is educated on how to eat. The radio brought somebody in so that I lost 80 pounds. You can't eat an apple slice if you're a fatty and you want to lose weight. You can't have a breadstick, fucking breadstick. You can't have normal salt. I mean, but anyway, so him doing the thing with him puking, I get it. I found like Steve from Gloucester, actually. I get it. It's a bit, but I get it. He's the fat guy who's going to pig out. He's going to puke. Having met him personally at the studio, I think he's a freaking awesome guy and a great patriot for Kirk. I think he's a smarter guy than his bits show. I think he's capable of much more. but this is his niche right now. So I don't need puking. But I'm old. Maybe young people like puking.
I didn't like it. Danny?
So the workout video, I give an A++. And what put it over the top for me was the two Justins in the background out of sync. Look, you could say, oh, it was stupid, whatever, but he did not break character. And he did the stupid shit like, oh, we're going up and down, whatever, moving back and forth. The Justin's in the back. It was very well done. You can argue with the execution, whatever. Exactly. The concept was spot on. The food thing, it was right. It's because the Papa Gino's pizza thing, and I was in studio for when that was brought up, and there was back and forth on the water and the salt on the pizza and all this stuff. That was relevant to the time. But then to just do this 1 hour, like I'm going to eat till I puke kind of thing, I felt secondhand, and not even embarrassment, but just like I watched them puke and I said, what are we doing here? Like what honestly would have worked out better was, no pun intended, he continued some version of the workout video and then continued to carry on and add a fourth Justin and a fifth Justin or change the music or do something, but like actually carry on with that.
Yeah, I just cough.
If Tom pukes on air right now, this would be a watershed moment in Minifandom.
It's an unintended benefit to cut you off, which was good.
Can I tell you what's interesting? But just one more thing about Justin that might be an interesting angle is that this dude's getting laid, according to him. Like he's nailing chicks. When I was 20 years old, I was not really all that fat, and I was out of the chick business. There was nobody was going to have sex with me.
You didn't have Tinder.
Changed. Yeah, we didn't have Tinder. We had bars, and so I wonder if that's one of the things that now you can be fat and still get laid. Like you in 1995, you better be your best self out there, and it was still tough.
I would say Justin
would have no penis and say you have a penis and get laid. I mean, that's what
I would say. Justin is leaning on the "I work at Barstool" thing a lot.
I sure as hell would.
Talking to women, yeah. I'm a bit of a star. Like, look at me, how many followers I've got. So I would say that. All right, next question, Minifan Lauren. What should the show network be doing during off weeks such as this one? Sort of touched on this on the main body of the episode, Lauren, so I'd refer you to that. But I think just putting a bit more effort would be the overall thing. If I'm their executive producer, I'm saying, okay, you had the seeds of a good idea. So it's a good idea to do a producer's show talking about what's going on in the Minna world. But it should be longer than 25 minutes. You should put some thought into it. Maybe have some stuff to put up on screen, whether it's drops, clips, tweets, but just make it a decent show because you're in studio, you're the producers. So I don't think they're too far off. I just think it's, Dave Cullen's laziness. Tom? I
would do a show 3 days a week with a panel of pretty much everybody who was on the show tonight and some other people who have been there kind of since day one. I would have the show called either The Gauntlet or The Tribunal, and it would be five of us skewering the producers, absolutely skewering the producers, putting them on their heels, total criticism, heavy interrogation, and try to make them uncomfortable. I think Kirk would appreciate that was happening. It might come to their defense when he comes back, or it might not. I think it could yield results and be fun, and you'd get some nice brutal content.
Like it. All right. Danny, do you have anything?
Well, I'd say maybe similar to what Tom said, but something like a tough crowd, Colin Quinn type situation where you have people that are coming in and out, but you got to have some sort of a regular host. Menner's probably you.
So that's what I do. If Menner's Live went pro, this is the sort of stuff we'd be doing. All right. Next question, Michigan man. If Menner's moves to, this is for you, Tom. If Menner's moves to America to take over KMS, now that Kirk is gone, will you try out to be my producer? And do you think I'll be a good stepfather to your kids?
I would try out to be your producer. As far as a stepfather, are you active? Like, do you do sports? I know that you commentate sports.
Yeah.
So you can play cricket and rugby and fake soccer and all that stuff.
Absolutely, definitely.
And
could hit a car.
I think that yes.
I don't like kids though.
That's good. Either do I. You'd fit right in. and I would welcome it. Absolutely.
Perfect. Ned Snark, why does the Burn Barrel pod play the messages of that mouth-breathing, lip-smacking perv and chronic caller from Indiana on every episode? So context, who is this person?
Justin, a great fellow from Indiana, and he does leave a lot of messages. So we try to get a naming convention so that I can try to see who I'm picking. But like I said, we're a rolling cluster of bleep. We have no time to screen anything, so we just take them live, which is not ideal. And I know it's not good programming technically, but some of his messages are great. Some are just him having musings that doesn't do anything for it but himself. But generally, we do discuss this. There's just not enough time to vet everything. Maybe we'll get better at that. Noted, though, Ned.
As a Burn Barrel listener, can I comment on this?
Sure.
So Justin from Indiana, I believe he's I don't think I'm doxing him because he brings it up. He's a janitor at a school, I believe, in Indiana. He has his thoughts and his musings, and I think to Tom's point, sometimes they're pretty hilarious, and other times they just make no fucking sense. But I think Tom and Alice always handle his ramblings with aplomb. He's an interesting guy. Talks about a lot of fast food and stuff.
Well, thank you. And Maynard, there's also something.
And also, you should. He doesn't cut anybody off. As probably should cut me off.
No, but also, I've you appreciate somebody actually taking 45 seconds out of their day or whatever long it is. So the Burn Barrel is a small podcast. It's a big tiny podcast. So we're very local. We appreciate support. So I don't know. I need an executive producer.
Tom, do you have an idea of or whatever you're allowed to or want to disclose as far as sort of the listener base of the Burn Barrel?
Shut up. Fuck off.
Yeah.
No, I'm editing. There's shit questions from Danny. Fuck off. All right. Next question from Melissa.
This is a free-flowing conversation.
Yes, and in this free-flowing style, when you bring up something irrelevant,
it was a fucking Burn Barrel question. I can't fucking ask an adjacent question, a follow-up.
Yes, you can't. Yes, you can.
And you'd be like, "Fuck off."
Yeah. You're doing really well with this depression with that reaction. Melissa Gorman. Does Tom think that Steve from Gloucester scripts his chat calls?
I do, absolutely. I just like with the consistency podcast. I think that he does. It's all put up with the same structure, which I don't have a problem with at all.
You said it before. You love anyone that calls in. You're desperate for anyone to call in. So
there's some of that, but also it's thoughtful queries by Steve, and so I like it.
Okay.
Danny.
Right.
I just want to go. All right, you go.
I want to say something that Tom's not maybe gonna say because it's his podcast, and I've always been a Steve from Gloucester guy. However, he has continued to call in pretty much daily to the chat, and he leaves.
Kirk told him not to, and then he ran away straight away.
Oh, yeah. Well, a couple of years ago, or last year, whatever.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty much every day, and he leaves pretty much run of the mill like Trump is great and whatever, which is fine. It's a conservative podcast, but it's to the point where other callers are turning on him, which I think has been brought up on other podcasts, other shows. And it's sort of interesting. It's like he's trying to get he wants attention somewhere. And it's like nature abhors a vacuum and it has to go somewhere. And now it's like, because Tom's such a nice guy and just takes Steve in and treats him with kid gloves, like it's okay. But I don't know. I think Steve is trying to find a way to get out there and I guess be heard, and good for him.
Yeah, he's been on the All You Can Eat podcast, by the way. That gets no love, unfortunately, but it's a great podcast. You should be on that one, Menners. We can talk about
I will come on any show. You always come on my shows, Tom. You ask me, I'll be there.
We'll be talking lamb on that one, by the way.
Okay, done. I'll give you my lamb recipes there. I've got a beautiful recipe for a slow cooked lamb shoulder. Ooh. Cooks over 4 or 5 hours and just falls off the bone. Also, beautiful lamb loin, lamb roast. So yeah, a lot of.
What do you think about tripe, Menor? You like tripe?
Okay. Also, Tom, you were talking about Steve from Gloucester. What's your take on Steve? Because you know him pretty well.
Mm-hmm. I think he's an awesome guy. If you were up in Portland, the guy is just really personable. He's a great guy. I liked him with Kirk. It seems to me that those two have a communication going that we don't know about. It kind of feels like that.
I don't think there is.
You don't think there is?
No.
I don't know. I thought the whole thing of Steve, the way he arrived, his is minimizing Kirk's content as I know what you're doing. I know, I get it. Being 3 steps in front of Kirk always, and treating Kirk's work product as predictable and haggard. It was hilarious. And I think that's why Kirk likes the needling. So I like that. I'm all for it. I think he should be back in the world if he wants to be.
Danny?
I think Steve's a nice guy at heart, but just he keeps coming back with this. I think what gets me is the turning the Twitter account on and off. Like, if you protect your tweets and you turn it on, you turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, change your bio. Like, it's very passive aggressive. So I think, and Tom, again, nice guy, coming at it from a burn barrel perspective, and he's protecting his brand, which is smart because Steve's a big burn barrel guy. And I just, from a KMS perspective, like, is he going to suck Pat Ford's dick or not? I mean, we got to figure this out.
Yes, he wants to. That's for sure. He definitely wants to.
And look, if he wants to, great. If he doesn't want to, great too. But I don't know. The back and forth, either go away. Look, so my friend David from Hull left for a long time, just went away, right? And Menners, I know you and him had your issues and your little back and forth.
No, he just didn't like me. That's all.
Yeah, he fucking hated you, and I think he still does. But he left and now came back, went to Saco, and he's just enjoying the show, living his best life. He's doing great. And I think maybe Steve from Gloucester could do something like that to just argue with people online.
He needs a reset. He needs a reset. You're right, Danny. Go away for a long time, like a couple of months. And I've actually did it. I did it a long time ago. I just went away for a month or two and just reset, come back, clean slate. And the thing is, Minifans are great. They'll welcome him back. Just go away for a while, clear your head. All right, next question. Jackson from Australia. This is again to you, Tom, but Danny, you can answer this because you probably have one too. Do you have a cuck chair in your bedroom?
I do not. We don't have room for anything in our bedroom. We've got a pile of laundry currently, and I'm in charge of all that logistics there. I am not. I'm not a guy who I do obviously talk about Alice being attractive, and she now looks really good. She's lost so much weight, not that she needed to. But I wouldn't find any great sport in watching somebody else be romantic with her. Well, I don't think. I mean, it hasn't happened.
You don't know until you try it. I mean,
I guess so. But I mean, I would be unnerved if she discovered a whole new world of pleasure.
True.
And so no, we'll keep the Stockholm syndrome going for as long as we can.
What about you, Danny? How many cuck chairs have you had?
I just appreciate the assumption that I have a bedroom.
Are you like Michael Scott in The Office, where you just like sleep at the end of the bed, like a little doggy?
If I had a bed.
Okay.
Can I just say something? And this is not a contemporary point here about The Office, but how the freak can anybody think the American Office is good after the English Office? The English Office was a freaking masterpiece. The American Office is absolute freaking rubbish because they look at the camera. Rubbish. That's said my piece.
You do not know. You have no idea what you're talking about. One of the worst takes ever. The UK Office is the American Office. The UK Office is a masterpiece, and it's only 14 episodes.
Yep.
Or like I think 12 episodes and 2 Christmas specials. The US Office is also a masterpiece, but it is completely different.
Well, Michael Scott, nobody had a boss like him. The guy Gervais played, people had a boss like exactly a big total tit like him. Absolutely, that's the genius of it. But the guy is whatever. Mike Gervais is just a genius. I've actually met the guy who was his writing partner in that, the tall blonde guy.
That's me and Mindy Kaling there in Hollywood.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, you look nice. Look at that hair. Tom, who's the most Tom and Menners, who are the most famous people you've met?
All right. Next question. Oh, you can answer.
He wants to answer. That's so bad.
That's a good question. That's a good SEO. I have met Donald Trump. I have met Eric Idle. I thought was great to meet because he's one of the greatest ever. And maybe those two are. Keanu Reeves. I've met Keanu Reeves. And I had a girlfriend at the time. She met him too, and she would have taken his hand and gone to his hotel room with him in a second. But that's all from working in hotels, other than the Trump was radio. But that's it.
So Donald Trump is the answer.
Trump is the most famous. Yeah.
Manners?
I don't know. I've met so many famous people. It's kind of hard to sort of determine which is the most famous, like a prime minister, a movie star, like a sportsman, like, you know, I don't know. So probably too many, to be honest.
So many you can't even name one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to start name dropping. I'm better than that. I'm way better than that. Kiefer Sutherland.
Okay. That's a good one.
Seth Meyers, Ike Barinholtz. I've got a few. I've got a lot more. I'm not going to get into them. Actors, all sorts of stuff. Now, next question. Hot Tep Heverin. But actually, Danny, I'm going to come back to you with this private. I'm going to think about who is objectively the most famous person I've ever met.
Okay.
Hey, who was the nicest?
Like I've met like a prime minister of the country is pretty. I guess like that's pretty. Doesn't get much bigger than that.
You know who I loved is just
Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman's pretty big. Wolverine.
That's a good one. Did you meet Jacinda Ardern from New
Zealand? No, thank God, no.
I love her.
All right, Tom. Again, this is for you.
Guess nobody's going to ask me. That's fine.
Go ahead, Danny. Have you met anybody?
Danny, who's the most famous person you met?
Cool. So it's funny you should ask, Menners. So the 1999 All-Star Game, I served Matt Damon and Kevin Costner a sandwich on the same day.
Whoa!
Right before I shook Pedro Martinez's hand.
Oh, that's a good one. And where was this?
That was in Boston, Fenway Park, 1999.
Why were you serving them a sandwich up in the?
So actually, Tom, you'll appreciate this. So I was a press runner. And so, Manners, just take it easy for a second.
I'm listening.
So part of my job as a press runner was, so this is back in the day, Tom will appreciate this, back in the day of like Kodachrome, like 35 millimeter, you actually would run the tape back and forth. So somebody snagged me for the Red Sox. So this was I went to BC High, so it was a BC guy who was like, oh, we'll take some high school kids, whatever. So somebody snagged me as I was running film from the auxiliary press box that was just built specifically for the All-Star Game down to the actual press box, and they said, hey, can you serve some lunches to the players? So I went in. It was the celebrity softball game. So Jim Rice, Matt Damon, Pedro Martinez, Larry Walker, and Kevin Costner were all just standing there. And I said, hey, what do you guys want to eat? And Kevin Costner said, I'll get some at the hotel. And I said, okay, no problem, Kevin. And he said, actually, I'll take a turkey and cheese. I said,
you call him Kevin?
Yeah, this is his name, right? So I went over. I was like, hey, fucking Fred, I need fucking 10 turkey sandwiches. So I go in and I serve Kevin Costner, and then Matt Damon busts out of the door. And he's like, I just like hand him like 10 turkey sandwiches. He's like, oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Very nice. Oh, look, before we continue, I want to tell you the most evil, unpleasant person I've ever met, and the most pleasant famous people. The most evil and freaking unpleasant was Susan Sarandon, who was a freaking evil bitch. She was freaking terrible. And she was like toying with me. And this is only like 7 years ago, during a campaign. She was vindictive and she was freaking evil. And the nicest one ever was Ted Danson of Cheers, who was awesome. And his wife, Steenburgen, they were like the gentlest, sweetest people in the world. I think it should be said on a platform like this so that the history witnesses this.
All right. Next question from the listeners. Hot Tep Heverin. Have you had makeup sex yet with Alice since your fight?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was a good fight. Were you there for that, Danny?
They're going to say it was a good fuck.
Yeah, I was there for all of it.
For the fight. Yeah. That was earlier this week. Everything was caving in. That was not going to happen.
I'll answer the question about the cup chair.
Yes.
All right. Next question. From local to Tom. Why didn't you go to the show after being at Bentley's with the baby?
Oh, freaking Bentley's.
To soccer?
Yeah, we were up in Arundel, Maine, at Bentley's because Be a Man guy was there, Harmon, and Ted Sellers and a few other guys were up there, and so I wanted these people to meet Alice, and so we had a brief window. We took the baby, we drove up to the bar, and she met a few people. They were all there for about 18 minutes before the show, and then a real nice guy, I forgot who he was, offered us to go in his car to see the thing, but we had a baby, which would have brought the show to a. You think it was bad enough with the EMTs being there at the end of the show? People would have been like, "Should this baby be here?" And it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out. But I just wanted to say hi to people. Next show I'll go to, absolutely.
Yeah, great. I want to be there too. Okay, now Ted Sarandis has a few questions, and I really like this first question.
Yeah.
Was it a mistake forcing Coleman out, given that he provided far more content and put in a better effort than Dave? I'll start. I obviously was the one voice who swam against the tide when everyone said how bad it was Coleman slept in on a Saturday morning. I said, well, I think we need to temper our feelings here with a bit of perspective. And, Coleman did put in a pretty good effort for most of his tenure, and I really miss him. So I think it was a mistake. I think he should have been given an official warning from Kirk as his common employee. He shouldn't have been suspended. It should have just been, if you miss something again by being late, then you will be suspended. So that's my feelings. Thomas?
I think Coleman was great for content because he was such a lie, and so much was somebody had an endless file on him, and it was fantastic. But he was kind of a lump. I mean, a great guy in person, kind of a lump, and a spoiled rich kid. And I don't know that necessarily people love that so much. Like, my parents never gave me anything. Well, they gave you a car, right? Well, a car. Well, that's freaking something. To most people, that's something. I think he's a great guy and a great guy for positivity. I would have liked to see him eventually disclose who he really was, and I think people were on to that pretty early on. That included some other stuff. But I think that they should have both gotten whacked after the best of show just imploded.
Okay. Right. Okay. Big take. It's a good call. I mean, that best of did display a huge lack of motivation. Daniel?
Yeah, I loved. I really enjoyed Coleman. I thought he did a great job. But to Tom's point, you're right. I think a full whack off at that point would have probably made things better. Just you cut down the weeds, let the new growth grow. But I just found it strange the timing of Coleman's exit. I think he was planning this for a long time. And I don't know if there was something he could have, I don't know, a discussion with, I'm going to get laughed at for this, a discussion with Kirk or something that could have made this become a thing for him. I think he could have really found a home in this show.
Agreed.
I think he did for a little bit. And then it's like he let it slip away really quickly and didn't try to get it back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of it. I just don't really understand exactly why that happened. And maybe it's just, again, this might be a Martin Barstool kind of thing.
I don't know. I think the other stuff, like with Dave saying he doesn't trust him, doesn't like him, as I said at the time, if you're working in a company, you realize I've got nowhere to go because Portnoy is never going to promote me. If I get put forward for a job, Portnoy is going to say, no, he doesn't like me. I can see why you might think time to move out. Yeah.
I will say this for him is that he was up-educated so much that I think that it gave an inflated self-esteem, and which was all like totally belied by the fact that when it came to Jim Tomey, that he literally resorted to putting every first name and every last name on the planet together to try to guess. And that was like how his formula for doing it. And that is that. I mean, that should be marked by history. That's what somebody went about doing in the year 2024. That was freaking remarkable.
No, that was the climax of his career with the Kirk Minahan show. And I will say, like, once again, sometimes these producers enter with exuberance and exit just beaten down, whatever reason that is. I mean, I think back to Menors back during the producer search, search a year ago, Coleman, when he guest produced Quantum Kirk, he was actually one of the ones that actually took the clips and made cuts and actually produced the show. He cared, and I think if you look back at those episodes, he gave some great back and forth because we talked about, the Rhea Book Club and things like that. And he gave some insight into Barstool at the time. Like there was some real animation and just one of those guys that maybe like comes out as like, does a great job interview. And then a year in is like, yeah, fuck this. And
right.
I didn't quite see that coming with him.
Also never held a grudge, which was a great attribute. Actually, in Saco, I saw at that bar at Bentley's, I saw a guy with a T-shirt that said "The Salt Life," and I was like, "Wow, that really exists. That's really a thing." I thought Coleman was just making something else up.
Only for like 30 years, but yeah.
All right, that is all the good questions. Thanks for everybody that lodged some questions on the return of Minifandom after a bit of a hiatus. So we'll wrap it up with the segment we like to wrap up every show with. What are you watching? A bit of a guide. Tom, what are you watching?
Is this in the world or just?
No, just movies, TV shows. What's a recce for the listeners?
Okay, well, I am on to the Battle of Britain. I know this is geeky and whatever, but you're a World War II guy, Menners.
Huge.
Your penal colony threw in with the Allied powers, however reluctantly.
Before you guys did.
But yeah, the Japanese took over half of your territory. So, I mean, it had to happen.
I don't think Australia was ever actually invaded.
It was, not the mainland, but there were plenty of islands that...
they're not part of Australia, I know. Americans don't understand geography. But,
so I'm watching every documentary I can find on the Battle of Britain, the air war over Britain, Stukas and Messerschmitts and everything that people had to endure, holding class.
I'll send you a podcast I'm listening to on World War II.
Cool. I love it.
Okay, nice. Have you seen World at War, that classic series from the 70s? The Battle of Britain stuff in there is fantastic.
Yes.
Danny, what are you watching?
So this is going to get made fun of, but I'm on to season 4 of Murders in the Building, Only Murders in the Building. So I know a little cheesy. I had very low expectations. I will say, yeah, the first episode was poor, except for when they introduced the movie, the actual movie cast, Galifianakis, and it's actually gotten much better since then. I think it's been pretty good. I did just start Rebel Ridge. I know start because it's just a movie, so I watched the first couple minutes, but so far so good. I've fallen down a little bit of a rabbit hole. Last point on YouTube, of course, with the Justin Food shows. The Adam Richmond Man versus Food.
Oh yeah.
Go back and watch some of these. It's actually pretty fascinating to watch what they've been doing. And then the last thing I will recommend, amazing, and like how he goes about it. Like, and I know he almost died, so that's why he stopped. And he's
did he almost die?
Well, he claimed, he was having a hard time. So one specific one, and Mike, actually, I think Kirk brought this up to Mike on the show after Newhart died. The Newhart-Rickles interview by Phil Donahue, actually it was after Phil Donahue died, 1988, I think it was with the full studio audience. It's like 45 minutes on YouTube. Amazing, because it's the two of them talking about their friendship, and they're not just fucking around joking. If you like Rickles, if you like Newhart, which if you like comedy, you got to love those guys. And Donahue being a really great interviewer, getting the audience involved. Check it out.
Perfect.
Cool.
Will do. I am watching Slow Horses. You have to watch it. Best show on TV at the moment. I'm doing a James Bond rewatch. I'm sort of going through them. I mentioned this on the other show, and I'm starting to hate Daniel Craig. Like, not the movies he's in. The movies he's in are good, but the fact that he, and spoiler alert, if you haven't seen No Time to Die, the fact that he had the gall to basically make James Bond get killed off at the end made me sick. I just think he's an egomaniac.
I'm having a hard time with the last couple. So who's your favorite Bond in the last 4?
I'm a Timothy Dalton guy. I think he was fantastic.
There's no way you mean that. There's no way you mean that.
I love Timothy Dalton
guy. He had one Bond movie.
2. License to Kill, Living Daylights.
Jesus, Manners. Timothy Dalton, for frig's sake.
Sean Connery, fantastic. Yep. Roger Moore, fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm a George Lazenby guy, but yeah.
He was great too, but just one movie. He just did one.
Yep.
Aussie.
Majesty's
Do you remember that? An Australian James Bond.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tom, thanks for joining me on Minifandom. Where can the listeners connect with you?
burnbarrelpodcast.com. Please join. There's a Patreon available, so you can grease the skids for when Manners has his. You want to know how the Patreon system works? Practice on my Patreon, please.
Good.
And the All You Can Eat podcast as well. And
remember.
that's where I am. Thank you, by the way. Yeah.
And Danny, where can the listeners find you?
At home in my basement, chained up and depressed.
Good. I believe it. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to Minifandom. Tom, great to see you. Danny,
Likewise.
great to see you. I'm sorry Andy Mayo dropped in, everybody. Couldn't help it. I don't know why I gave him the link. And thank you to Montante, who is probably riding his bets as we speak.
Or riding something.